And I'll introduce myself. I am Shantae Marquez, Profit Network Coach and Business Development for the Dog Gurus. If you are unfamiliar with the Dog Gurus, we help pet care businesses launch, grow, and profit. And Kelly says she can hear us loud and clear. So thank you so much. We appreciate that. Not only do we help pet care businesses launch, grow, and profit, we also offer business consulting services and staff training programs so your staff can truly know canine body language and have the safest facility as possible, as well as a ton of other resources that will help you reach your business goals. You can find us at doggurus.com. And before we do the introductions, I'll go ahead and let you know next week's topic, we will be discussing how to prevent accidents that summer heat and fun can bring to your facility. But today's topic is how to ensure your staff and pets are safe in your grooming or bathing department. And today I'm with the lovely Coach Carrie and fabulous Coach Samantha. Carrie, do you want to go ahead and kick off introductions?
Absolutely. I'm Carrie Campbell. I am the business growth and lead coaching guru for the Dog Gurus. And I am currently residing in Denver, where we were saying earlier, it's not as beautiful and warm as we would like it to be. But Samantha, you tell us in your introduction where you're at and how warm it is there.
So I'm Samantha Palia, and I am a recent coach that joined the Dog Gurus this year. And I have been grooming in my facility for 30 years. So I'm here to bring the grooming aspect to you all today from Chicago, Illinois. And it is sunny with cool temperatures. So no, it's pretty good here. It's been feeling a little cooler than it usually is, but it's really refreshing at the same time.
Samantha, you don't look like you could have been working in for 30 years. I mean, so
She started when she was 10.
when she was 10, yeah. I mean, that's what I was like, what? Let me do the math. Okay.
Well, thank you, Shantae. But fun fact about Samantha, I actually graduated high school early, and we're not going to say what year, but I graduated high school a semester early, and I enrolled in grooming school. And I've been grooming ever since, and that's been almost 30 years. And I opened up my business when I was 21. So I always say when people were hitting the bars, I was, running a business. So
Wow, that's awesome. Well, you definitely had the skills. And like I said, today's topic is about how to safely, make sure your pets and your staff are safe in the grooming or bathing departments at your facilities. And I know that, whenever we had a new staff at my facility, and one of the things that we'd have them do is teach them how to do baths as an introductory, task. And, I always told them, hey, whatever you do, never leave the pet alone in the tub while they're, if there's an emergency or something. Make sure you take the tub out, unleash them and put them in a suite before you walk away. So let's talk about how to safely secure a pet in a tub or on a grooming table.
Okay. So what a lot of people do not realize, and even if you know a dog, even if this pet has been coming to your facility for a very long time, and even if they're a bigger pet, smaller pet, it doesn't matter. A pet unattended can fall off or back off a table in a matter of seconds. You can even turn your back to the pet to grab a tool or to grab, maybe the phone or anything like that. And that pet can be on the ground. So a couple things, what I always tell people is, even if you have them on a lead or on a restraint or anything like that, you got to be mindful of a few things. Know the restraint you have. Even if a dog has one on them, if it's too long for them, they can still get off the table or over the tub. So you want to be mindful of the length of your arm. You want to make sure that it's taut, but you don't want to make sure that it's not like choking the dog or putting pressure on its throat. So you want to make sure that the dog is comfortable, but there's no slack on the lead or on the lead, the noose. Sorry. Another thing you want to make sure is, when you if you're using a lead rope, you never want to use an actual knot. You want to make sure you have a slit knot, because in case of an emergency, if that dog is tugging or pulling, if they do go to jump, if there's a knot and let's say it's a bigger dog, you may not be able to get that dog back enough in order to get that lead or the lead rope off. So you want to make sure it's a slip knot so you have a quick release. A lot of times people in the horse world, they do that with horses as well. So you just want to make sure that it's a safe knot or a type of, you can have like a quick release even on a noose. So just those are some safety features you can use. My suggestion is no matter what, one of your hands, whether you're bathing, drying, grooming, should always be placed on the pet. This way, even if you do need to turn around, your hand is there and you can hold that pet securely. So that way there's no way they can end up on the ground.
Absolutely. Yeah, because the last thing you want to do is the dogs, they can easily, hang themselves. That would be like worst case scenario. But they can also hurt their trachea. They can do all sorts of things. I mean, it can be a really scary situation very quickly. So
right.
Sorry,
I didn't mean to interrupt. There are two really great things they have out there made from All for Groomers, a trach saver. So you may have like a Yorkie or a smaller dog, and I know they make them for different size pets now. You don't know if that dog always has an issue with the trachea, and you definitely don't want to cause it. And the trach saver is really good because it works like around their legs and around their back, but it doesn't put any pressure on their back. So that's really a good thing, where it's not causing any pressure on their throat. And another thing, that if you have a dog that is trying to get off the table or is very reactive, a groomer's wall is really good because it kind of blocks the dog and it just kind of gives you that extra protection. So those are two tools that you can use that can really benefit having that pet safe and secure on your table. You can't use the groomer wall necessarily on the tub for like blocking, but you shouldn't have to. But on your table, it's a really great tool.
awesome. And Sheer Magic Pet Salon says aloha, as well as Clever Staff says hello. But Sheer Magic said Groomer's Helper is the best tool for tables. So thank you for that tip. Yeah. So what do you say? One of the things, we didn't have a grooming department at our facility, but one of the things that we really struggled with is nervous dogs, or dogs that were, really, they were scared to be in the tub and scared of water. Do you have any advice on how to calm them? I know that one of your things is you are the enrichment stylist. So do you want to give it? Yeah, I know that we're kind of veering from the safety for a minute, but I just think that it'd be nice to also talk a little bit of some of your tricks that you use.
Well, actually, believe it or not, it's a lot of times it doesn't sound like it's safety, but it is indirectly safety with enrichment, because anytime you can get a pet to relax in your care in your facility, you're going to have less injuries. Whether you realize it or not, you may think that you had a successful bath or groom, and then the pet may go home, and you might get a phone call a few days later saying, did something happen to my pet? They're limping, or they're not acting themselves, or maybe they're hurt their back. Like, you just don't know, right? Like we don't have X-ray machines. We're not vets, and maybe they're not showing it to us, and maybe it's not till they go home and something does come out, or the next day. So when you have a dog that's less stressed, they're less tense. And then when you are, moving their bodies around, whether you're lifting a leg to do the nails or to clip them or to even move them from like maybe the tub to the table, when you have a looser pet body language wise, that's going to actually help reduce injuries to them. So even though it seems like there is an indirect connection between enrichment and injuries for the pet, so there is some safety to be with that. But what I find with pets that are, scared in the tub or really any activity, the best thing to do is you want to try to connect a positive activity to whatever part of the process you're working on. So let's say you're in the tub and they're scared with water, and maybe it's the sound of the water, depending on what spray you're using. You can actually keep that water on, and during that sound, maybe you can do some T-touch massage or a relaxation technique. maybe just like pet their head to calm her down or rub their ears, something like that, just something very calm. Just talk to them. You can, even if you have a pet that's really, really scared of even just being up that high, there's some pets that actually have a fear of heights. Maybe you can do like story time with the stylist, with your bather. It's just a sense of you're just trying to calm down their nerves for whatever the process is that you're doing at that time. And then once you can bring them down to, like I say, like neutral, then usually you can move forward with the process. And that in itself is going to be safer for not only the pets in your care, also for your staff member as well, because it's going to reduce bites and injuries to your staff members as well.
I'm just going to chime in with that. There are so many aspects of what we do in our own energy, not to sound too woo woo, but dogs are so accustomed to reading our body language and understanding our energy that as long as a staff member is working with a dog and they remember to take a deep breath and relax, that will help the dog as well. Because if a nervous dog makes the staff nervous, then that is just energy that's kind of fighting each other, and it will make the situation worse rather than just kind of being able to control your own calm and your own energy.
Right.
Absolutely.
One of the things that I actually teach, like when I'm teaching enrichment, is that not only do we have to look at the dog's body language, but we also have to look at our own body languages as well. And because we got to remember that just like we're reading theirs, they're reading ours. So we have to be mindful of that. And we also have to be in our mind. We have to try to be as relaxed and calm and collected. And we all know we're humans and that, things happen through the day. We get stressed or we might have a bad day. Like we all know, like we're humans and, we're not always in the best mood. But during that grooming process, it should be up to the pet professional to be in a minimal, neutral emotion zone. So that way we're not passing that on to the pet in our care.
Yeah, and probably wouldn't be a bad idea to maybe have some soothing music going, and maybe a little aromatherapy, truly make it a doggy spa, right?
Yeah, definitely. And of course, you just want to make sure that when you're putting music on, you got to remember that it's got to be, effective for the pets along with the people in your care, because what may be soothing to you may not be soothing to people or pets around you. So we just have to be mindful of really understanding what that type of music, the beat of the music, not so much like the words, but the tone of the music really needs to set the tone for the environment.
Absolutely.
We used to use a series of CDs called Through a Dog's Ear, which are now available as playlists that you can download on iTunes. But just a series of classical music that was recorded by an acoustical engineer and a veterinarian. So it's classical music you would recognize, and they even have some other music now, but they are basically looking at recording something to the resting heart rate of dogs, and that just keeps them on an even keel. So it's great music. They have a whole series from puppies to senior dogs to anxious dogs, riding in the car with a dog, which is a great one because it will keep your dog calm but won't make you fall asleep. So there's a lot of thought process that acoustical engineer went through when they did the recording. So again, it's called Through a Dog's Ear. So
well, since we're talking about hearing and ear, let's get on the subject of ear protection and why that's so important when you are grooming a pet.
Okay, so we're going to go do this twofold. Number one, you want to make sure that you have ear protection, especially during the drying process for not only the pets, but for your staff as well. We do need to remember that a lot of these dryers are very loud. And if you have 2 or 3 of them running in a smaller area, that's just going to raise what the decibel of it. So, and then you have the dryers usually close by you. I know some people have them up on walls or on the floor, but that sound still the sound still travels throughout, the area. So a couple of things that I always say, make sure that your staff has a proper protection on their ears and make sure that you can invest in that, because when you are exposed to prolonged noises, we all know that your hearing can definitely suffer from that in the long run, especially if you're a groomer like myself, who's been in the industry for a very long time. That continuous noise can have an effect on your hearing. But we also have to remember that noise is actually louder for the dogs. So we really want to make sure that we're thinking about them as well and what they're hearing. And so you can either put like cotton balls in their ears to muffle it, or they have happy hoodies, and happy hoodies are great. And the reason why I actually prefer happy hoodies over cotton balls is if you have a dog, like I used to have a basset hound and her ears never dried. So if you put a happy hoodie, it soaked up the water at the same time that it was protecting her ears. So it really helped me. Or if you have like a Cocker Spaniel that got that thick ear or the thick hair. So it kind of works two ways, you know. And then I really like too the adjustable dryers. So when you do get to their head area or their face area, you want to turn that down. So that way it can still be very effective. You just want to make sure that, you know, you're protecting anything around their head, neck, up, forward. So those are two great ways you can protect the pet's ears and your staff's ears as well. And they will thank you. Another one, and a lot of people don't think about this, but you can put some soundproofing around on your wall or around the table to kind of absorb that. And I would really be careful about drying pets in tubs because the sound with the dryer can actually multiply just for being in the tub. So just kind of remember, it depends on like the place that you're at as well, can determine the sound, the pitch of the noise as well.
Good tip.
Wow, that's good advice. Thank you. And so since we're talking about dryers, I know people understand that there's a difference between a human dryer and a grooming dryer, which we know, you know, we should not use a human dryer on the pets. But let's talk about, there is still some things to be aware of for the grooming dryers and how to properly use them and things to watch out for.
Okay, right. And there's two very common ones, and there's a lot of different dryers out there. And of course, they have all different speeds and they have different heating elements in there. Some don't have heating elements. So you really want to do your homework on your dryers so you know how to use them properly. But a couple things you do need to keep in mind, that no matter how high it may blow or what the heating element is, you have to remember you always want to be careful around the eyes. Because if you have the nozzle on per se and you're drying it, the pet from the front, it actually can cause eye ulcerations on the pet's eyes and just from the wind. And so you just got to remember you want to be careful. And then there's also clamps on there that if you have a high power dryer and it gets away from you, so you just got to remember like that can happen. Some of those clamps can hit a dog in the eye. I've actually seen a dog get cut from one. It's going to scare the dog. So that's not real safe because then they can come off the table. So these are things like with your dryers, you want to make sure that they're, you know, you want to use them efficiently, but you want to still know that there are some safety things you want to consider. For cage dryers, I personally, and this is just a personal, I know everybody can do whatever they feel is, you know, right for their facilities, but I personally do not have any heating elements on any kind of cage dryers in my facility. And the reason why is because even if they have timers, you never know, it might break. And then if you have that pet, you assume it turns off and it doesn't. And then you risk overheating the pet. Also, you know, you got to really be mindful of like, if you get really busy and you're not checking up on the dogs. So you just really want to make sure that, you know, if you do have that you have them in a well ventilated area so that heat can't build up inside the drying cage and overheat the pet. And that can happen really, really quick. And at the same time, if you're using a fan dryer, you want to make sure that you're being careful of hypothermia for the dog, because if you have the dog in there and they're drying too long, their body temperature can actually lower enough where they can go into hypothermia shock. So you just want to be careful so you can go from one end with the heat and being too cool with the dryer as well. So just know that you are regulating temperatures within your area as well.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point, that because I know that they kind of market these dryers to be left on the pets so you don't have to sit there and manage it, and you know, you can do other things, but there is a concern there, like you were saying. I mean, especially with these high temperatures that maybe you're experiencing depending on where you live. But yeah, I mean, that's just a really good point to think about. You don't want to walk away with with the dryers just necessarily on and forget about them.
And here's another thought process is, most places that we do have higher temperatures, we all have air conditioning in our facilities, correct? But what we don't think about is your pet is going to be going from a dryer situation where maybe in that particular area, depending on your setup. And of course, it really depends on your setup, how you have it done, but you may have to be bringing a pet from a higher temperature area of your facility into a cooler temperature part of your facility. So right there, you're going to have a temperature difference. So now when you're adding in the fan, and maybe the air conditioning, that can make it more rapid drop. So I know that it's usually, I don't ever want to say like, oh, you got to watch it because it's like, so like probable, but it is possible. And when we're talking safety, we got to think of every avenue of being safe for those pets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And then do you want to mention anything about crate safety? I know that you mentioned the clips. Is there anything else that you want to touch on?
Yes. So one thing that there's two things in crates. You always want to make sure, number one, you want to make sure your crates are always in good repair. You want to make sure there's no broken door anywhere on the door because the dog can scratch it. They can get their eye caught on it, anything like that. But one of the things that I have heard about the most over so many years is that when you're taking in the pets from the client, please remove all the collars, because if they have a tag on and you put a grate in there and they have like the raised grates and they lay down with that tag can literally get stuck in the grate and then they can't move and they can even choke themselves. So you want to make sure, and even with leashes, I know that like slip leaves seem very, very safe too. You just really want to make sure that you don't have at all possible anything on them. If you are in a situation where you maybe have a cage shy dog, where maybe you need to have something on there, I would greatly recommend having that pet in a crate where it's open and someone can be watching that pet at all times for safety reasons. Because, we might have a cage shy pet and always put them on a lower level versus a higher, because the higher they are, the more of an advantage they actually have, and that can risk injury to your staff. So you just want to make sure these are some safety practices you can do for the animals and then also your staff as well.
Yeah. And look, I know we covered a lot of tips right now, and it's scary to think about, but it is something really important to prepare for. And one way that you can do that, really, with all this information that we talked about, we highly recommend that you keep your operations manual, your SOP manual up to date. So that is where you should be putting this information so your staff can be reflecting on, and while they're doing their on-the-job training, it can be there for them to reflect reflect on for their operations manual. So we do have a product. All right, go on.
I just want to add to that, if you are a business owner out there that has a grooming department, I would once a year do a safety meeting with your grooming department to even go through these, not only safety procedures, but what to do in case of one of these, injuries do happen. You want to make sure that you have up to date, your vets. You want to make sure you have that communication. You want to have the directions, make sure that that can still take you on a last minute call, maybe have a second option in case that vet's closed, just have things ready and prepared. Go through some first aid safety with them to minimize maybe a bigger injury, if it's not done right away. So that it's something that I definitely, if you're going to go through this, make sure you do it once a year with your grooming staff department. And you never know, you might have a new person coming in and you don't want to let them fall through the cracks and then something happens and they're not up to date on how to, what to do in case of an emergency.
Yeah. And building an operations manual is a huge task. We totally understand. And I really believe that once a year, you should be looking over your operations manual and making those changes and updating it as you need. But like I said, it's a huge job. So that's why the Dog Gurus has created an operation and a standard operating procedures manual for you. If you don't have one, or you want something to reference to continue to build yours, or just to compare, this is a great product out there. It's already done for you. It's PDF editable. So you can go in and put in your logos and adjust whatever language you want to it. It is available on our website and our store. I'll go ahead and put the link now, but Anything else that, Carrie, you want to chime in about the operations manual?
One of the things, just having the original document, and then something that you may find is easier for staff would be to take some of those really critical elements that you want and have short videos done of them. I was just on a call earlier today and we were talking about how few people read nowadays. So doing something that is kind of that short video that they can reference as they've gone through and they've read the manual, but now if they just need a refresher, they have something that they can look at. So that's another great way that you can just keep those SOPs up to date, is by having those short videos.
Awesome. And Sheer Magic Pet Salon, she says that they have their manuals on Connect Team. It's a really good tool for businesses to be connected with their staff and helps with scheduling employees. So great tip.
Nice tip.
Is there any questions? Yeah, is there any questions out there in the audience before we wrap things up that you would like to talk about or ask? We're here for you. So if there's something on your mind, please go ahead and let us know, and we'd be happy to comment on it or answer your question. Yeah, we started doing videos too before I sold my facility. That really was key, having like a library of videos in conjunction with the on-the-job training and the manual as well. It's kind of like you have to have that 3 tiers to really get a full sense. And plus, people just learn differently. Like, I am not a book learner. That is not my strength. I learn by actually physically doing it or seeing it. I'm so visual. I mean, you can tell me something and I'm not necessarily going to process it well. I actually have to kind of just look at the directions and go ahead and do it as I'm reading it. Cindy says, what kind of things can you add to grooming to make it enrichment grooming?
So the wonderful thing is you can pretty much add anything, but the top things that I suggest implementing is you can do key mats, snuffle mats, you can do like loose leash walking, you can do bubbles, you can do the Blue 9 climbs. They're like, the part of enrichment grooming is to enhance their grooming experience. So as long as you do something that the dog enjoys and not tolerates. And that's the thing is I just, one time I heard a groomer say, oh, you just stick the licky mat in the dog's face. And that is not the part. You don't just stick like a licky mat in the dog's face. Like, I like pie, but I don't want a pie stuck in my face, right? So, right? So the thing is we want to find something that pet enjoys. And it's really, one of the keys to that is learning some canine body language and learning the types of behaviors. And then what we can do is use that information that the pet's giving to us to know what grooming tool or enrichment activity we should use that's going to counteract that behavior. So that I could talk about for a whole nother 2 hours. Yeah. So I won't. But really, you can use anything in your salon, or anything you come up with that the pets enjoy.
Look, the massages, that can be an enrichment add-on option to be massaged. The aromatherapy, that's one. The licky pads, for sure. We use that. That worked really well for a nervous pup. There's all sorts of things you can do. If you're not too familiar with enrichment and the different things that you can do, we have lots of great articles in our library and our blogs on our website that you can look at and learn more about. And then let's see. Cindy has another question. Do you give breaks? For that or while grooming?
In our salon, there's actually 3 ways that we can incorporate it, either during the groom, before or after the groom, or we can even do it as an enrichment training program that you can develop. So there are different ways that you can actually add the enrichment. Like, it really depends on what type of pet you're dealing with and what body language and what behaviors they're showing. And that's going to kind of determine when and how you should actually do the enrichment. Like I said, I know some people will think, oh, you just stick the licky mat in their face. And that's not, there is some science behind it, some behavior science behind it. So that's just stuff that you can definitely do before, during, or after the groom to make it an enhanced experience.
Yeah, and it just probably really depends on what the add-on option is.
And it depends on your business model. To be honest, it's going to depend on your business model as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because everybody's, with grooming, you can have, like, I own a grooming facility. We don't have boarding and daycare. And then you may have a boarding, daycare, and grooming facility. So they may have a lot more options because they may be offering it through boarding and daycare. And then you may have like a mobile groomer. You may have a vet groomer, that may have more limited space. You may have a house call groomer. The great thing about enrichment, let's turn this into an enrichment segment, but the great thing about enrichment is you can literally incorporate it into every grooming business model out there. So all your grooming departments can be really enhanced and benefiting from enrichment in the salon.
And it gives you a competitive edge. I mean, look, this is a new thing. Like the first time that I heard about enrichment grooming is when I met Samantha and she did a talk on it. And I was like, that's my aha moment. That's what I'm going to do to put it in my facility to make me have the competitive edge that I've been looking for my bathing department. So that, it's really, it's a great, awesome idea. So if you haven't considered it, consider it to be in your facilities. I think your customers would really, really love it.
They do. And actually, what I find that ever since I started offering, well, we're an enrichment-based grooming salon. So our whole business model now is based around enrichment. Okay. So, but what happens is that it transfers through the dogs and the happiness when they're going home because they're happier, they're more relaxed. Like I said, less injuries, your staff is happier. So it really just makes your total environment just like a much more lifting place, and that your clients will see. They may not see it like the 5 minutes that they're like running out the door with the dog if they got to go pick up the kids from soccer or whatever. But when they get home and they see that their pet is just in a good mood and they're not scared, and maybe they don't have an upset stomach, or they're not acting themselves, they're going to notice that, and they are going to notice that for a few days after. And what's going to happen is when you ask them for that review, what are they going to be thinking? Oh, my pet's so happy, so I'm happy. I'm going to give them a 5-star review. So it really comes back full circle because it goes back to the service you give, and they're going to share this on Google with their friends, their family, and it's just going to be just better for your facility because your clients are going to be referring you for that reason.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think that there is an area that you can't offer enrichment in a pet care facility.
Right.
Because if you look from the behavioral science standpoint, dogs that get anxious or upset when they're in a situation, whether it's the first few times they go to daycare or whether they're being dropped off and left for a lodging situation, or in the case of a grooming situation, they're just stuck in their head. So anything you can do to get them out of their head, it's very similar to people. Somebody gets really anxious because they're so focused on something, it's causing that just kind of introspective view. And once you can get them outside of that, then they're, oh, okay, this isn't so bad. That was fun. I get to enjoy a licky mat. Oh, she's touching my feet. Oh, I don't mind that as much because my brain's focused on something else.
Right.
So really you can use it in so many different capacities. And I say this all the time, but I think your staff are only limited by their own imagination because there's so many things that you can do that are enrichment that are not necessarily something you would think, oh, this is related to an enrichment based toy or an enrichment type piece of equipment. So smells, I mean, dogs have such a strong sense of smell. Doing anything that's kind of scent investigation is a great way to just get them out of their head and get them focused on something else. So whether you just take a bunch of spice jars and have them sniffing different smells from spice jars, it's like, oh, it's like olfactory heaven for them. So anything that you can do that is just kind of enhancing the experience to get them outside of their head so that there is a lessening of that anxiety or stress.
Yeah, and the great thing about this is you can literally use this on every pet, whether they're aggressive, reactive, scared, old, young, cats, even rabbits. I mean, if anyone's out there that do cats and rabbits coming up in the grooming world. But the great thing about it is you literally can incorporate this for every pet in your salon. And there's really no reason, just because a dog is showing unwanted behaviors, that doesn't mean those should be the only pets that we try to enrich their experience with. Even dogs that are very good and even enjoy, there's no reason why we can't enhance their experience even more onto a higher level. So I like to say that this can work for every pet in your facility, no matter age, behavior or anything like that. So I highly encourage people to find out a little bit more about it and really, try it. I think you're going to find that you and your pets are going to love it.
Wrapping it back to the whole topic of safety is that but when you think about it, if the pet is more satisfied and more relaxed, the staff person is more satisfied and relaxed. So it makes the whole environment and experience better for everyone.
Yeah, and less stress on your groomers from the tugging and pulling that might create hand injuries or back injuries, or you never know what kind of injury they can be having, whether it's a new one or reoccurring. So it actually makes for a better safety practice for your staff members as well that are dealing maybe with some of these pets.
All good stuff, you guys. Thank you so much.
We ran a little over.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we made it without any technical difficulties this time. So, woo-hoo. All right. Well, I really appreciate both of you joining me, Carrie and Samantha. Carrie's going to be joining me on all of these for the most part. So I have my partner in crime here. Appreciate everybody listening. If you have not become a member yet, please, we would like to invite you to join our Grow Your Pet Care Facebook group. It's a really great community to get ideas or feedback from others in the pet care industry. We just have 2 rules: be nice and no selling. And I'll go ahead and put that in the chat here. But otherwise, that does it for us. So everybody have a wonderful day. Smile at a stranger, and we'll see you next time.
Have a good one.
Bye.